One of the most interesting differences in terms of social media is the difference between blogger relations and pitching mainstream journalists. One of the highlights of my work with War Child was watching a fantastic campaign they did with Hill and Knowlton on reaching bloggers with a series of very, very provocative drops. And that was seeking out donations to help child soldiers, which complemented the campaign that John Street did with a very fantastic video that went viral. I think that that case study, which was very dark and funny and smart, really illustrates the liberties that you can take when you're reaching out to bloggers, because often you know these people, you know them in a way that you might not know mainstream journalists, regardless of how long you've been working in PR.
The first place to start when it comes to blogging and charities in the nonprofit sector is to know who's in your space. And so I think it's really important for people in leadership at your organization or in marketing communications to be aware of who writes about the things that matter to your organization, so that it's not 2 weeks before an event and you're trying to do blogger outreach. You really got to be thinking months ahead. So every day you can use RSS feeds, you can use Google Reader, collect up the people that write online, no matter where they are, about your cause, social justice. Who writes about social justice in your city? Do you know? Like, find out all of that information ahead of time and then read them consistently. Not only is it, of course, good for your own professional development to know what people are saying online outside of the traditional media, like the Globe and Mail, like the Toronto Star, because bloggers tend to have a bit more of an alternative view, or they might present a grittier view, especially in the nonprofit sector, so that's great too.
When it comes to working with bloggers, it's really about understanding each and every blog that you think is important to you. Thoroughly analyzing it, reading it, figuring out, is this the right place for you? Do they have a natural connection to you? And then figuring out, okay, what's my opening to introduce myself to these folks? How can I set up a win-win for them? So I know, look, hey, if they're the kind of person who wants to get paid and you're not interested in paying them, it's not the kind of person to approach and ask to do something for free out of the kindness of their heart. If they're more open to sort of being pitched stories or content or ideas or participating in things, that should be apparent from reading their blog as well. So it's all about that upfront intelligence, as much insights and analysis as you can do with those bloggers, and get that list of influencers that you feel comfortable approaching, and then reaching out to them in as one-to-one a way as possible.
One of the main challenges when doing social media outreach is really vetting the number of potential outlets for each campaign. There are a number of tools you can use to whittle these lists and these influencer opportunities down. We had a particular amount of success working with an organization called Sysomos because they helped us filter our results by influence, geography, language. Taking the time and actually reading what these bloggers are writing or what these Twitter users are interested in, and making sure that each pitch is tailored and individually meets their interests and their needs is really a worthwhile step to take.
If you've been interacting with them on Facebook or Twitter, or commenting on their blog, or any of that sort of stuff throughout the year, then you're a known entity. It's a pleasure to interact with you. You're considered like a friend. That cross-promotion is always great, and you'll certainly be in a better position than to surprise a blogger 2 months or 2 weeks before something when they've never really heard of your organization. They'll at least have a history with you.
I think that as the blogosphere has grown over the last 5-10 years, it has become part of the mainstream. And we can't just think of traditional media and new media now. There's also this kind of hybrid where you have traditional media that are blogging, you have new media sites, blogs that are becoming mainstream media and receive as much traffic as those. So drawing a line between the two is quite artificial nowadays. And I think you need to actually think more broadly about how you can integrate traditional media, new media, social media, and this kind of weird hybrid that's appeared over the last few years.
I think what blogging is showing is we have to get back to that one-to-one type relationship build. That, in the old days of media relations, that's the way it was done. Before broadcast fax, before email, you used to pick up the phone and call somebody. With broadcast fax and then subsequently email, which makes it even easier, we were just sending out basically form letters and hoping that people connect with us. So it's old school, shoe leather type. I've got to make a connection with people, and I got to invest the time to do that. I can't shortcut it. I think the difference between bloggers and the press got kind of immune to it and just kind of ignored it. didn't write about you. Maybe, the old stories that I would hear from guys in the media where we have a fax machine that press releases go to, and below that fax machine is a garbage can. So whatever comes in just goes straight through and into the garbage can. We never look at anything. Now that happens with email. So if you don't know these people directly, you haven't built a relationship with them, the chances of them paying attention, slim to none.
I think the main difference in approaching bloggers and journalists is that journalists are being paid to write stories for their paper. They have space to fill. Bloggers don't have to write anything, and they definitely don't have to write anything nice if you approach them inappropriately. So it's thinking about the best way to approach the topic in a way that the blogger is going to be interested in. Think about what their pain points are, what their interests are, how you can actually provide something useful to them that interests them, but at the same time accomplishes your own objectives.